You're cleared, packed, and early. But at the gate, they scan your pass and tell you you're not flying. It sounds unreal, but in 2025, it's happening more than ever, and not for the reasons you'd think. Today, we're breaking down 11 real ways your seat can disappear, even when you've done everything right. Because sometimes, missing your flight has nothing to do with being late, and everything to do with what you didn't know. Now if you're thinking, well, I don't cause drama, I show up on time, I should be fine. Let's start with the one thing that quietly takes down travelers every single day: paperwork. It's not flashy, it's not dramatic, but it works like a trap. And the most common one? Your name. You're standing at the gate. Boarding pass in one hand, passport in the other. Your bag's already on the plane, you made it through TSA, and your seat is waiting. Then the agent scans your ticket and frowns. You hear typing, a pause. Then they say it, sorry, you can't board this flight. It doesn't feel real. You're right there. Everything looked fine, but what went wrong was your name. And no, this isn't about a fake ID or something dramatic. It's about a tiny mismatch that most people wouldn't think twice about, like forgetting your middle name, or using your nickname instead of your legal one, or letting autocorrect quietly swap one letter when you weren't looking. It happened to Rebecca Schulze. She booked her flight as Rebecca Schultz, just like she always goes by, but her passport said Rebecca Ann Schultze. That one missing middle name turned her check-in into a full-on scramble. Now, if you catch it ahead of time, some airlines will let you fix it. You'll usually have to send them a copy of your ID and pay a name correction fee, around $100. It's a hassle, but worth it if you want to fly. But if you only spot the error at the airport, you're in a tight spot. You'll need to head to the airline counter, explain the issue, and hope the agent is both patient and empowered to help. Bring every form of ID you've got. Stay calm. Getting flustered or upset won't speed things up.
In very rare cases, TSA may still let you through security if you have enough documentation and a particularly understanding officer. But that doesn't guarantee the airline will let you board.
Bottom line, your name isn't just a formality. It's your entry ticket to the sky. Double check it, then check it again. Because once you're at the gate, one letter off could be one flight gone. So your name's a perfect match. No typos, no red flags. You breeze through TSA, grab a snack, and head to check in, feeling like a seasoned traveler, until the agent flips open your passport, frowns, and flips it back to the front. They don't say much. Just slide it across the counter with a look that says, "This isn't going to work." One traveler shared a story about flying from Thailand back to the Netherlands. When he got to the counter, everything seemed fine. His passport was valid, all pages were clean, but the front cover had worn down over time, and the airline staff said it was too faded to read properly. Just the cover. That alone was enough to cancel his return flight. No arguments, no room to explain. He was told to get an emergency passport before he could board anything heading home. It sounds absurd until it happens to you. Because in 2025, airlines and immigration officers are checking every part of your document. Torn corners, water damage, fading print, even mild warping from humidity can raise a red flag. What's worse is it doesn't stop there. Many countries won't let you in unless your passport is valid for 6 months beyond your return date. Not your departure, your return. Even if your trip is just 5 days, a passport expiring in 5 months and 3 weeks can stop you cold. Some destinations also require at least one blank page. No stamps, no pen marks, just clean space for entry and exit stamps. If your passport's full or marked up, you could be denied boarding before you even get through bag drop. The solution? Check it now, not the night before. Flip through it. Look at the cover. Check the corners. Make sure the expiration date buys you enough time. And if anything looks worn, smudged, or suspicious, renew it early. Because nothing ruins a return flight faster than hearing your passport's not readable when all you needed was a newer copy of the same document. Your name's good, passport's clean, you're packed, checked in, feeling confident. But right as you're settling into that "I got this" mood, a tiny detail sneaks up and shuts everything down before your trip even starts. One traveler shared how it happened to him on a flight from London to Riyadh, with a layover in Istanbul. Nothing fancy, just a plane change. He wasn't leaving the airport, just switching terminals. What he didn't realize was that because he'd booked two separate tickets on two different airlines, he'd have to exit the transit zone, pick up his checked bag, and recheck in. That meant going through immigration, and for that, he needed a transit visa. He didn't have one. No one had told him. Suddenly, he was stuck at the departure gate with nowhere to go. The worst part? He'd done the exact same trip before. Same cities, same airport. But that time, it was all on one ticket. No need to recheck anything. No visa required. That's how tricky this can be. The same route can play out two different ways depending on how your ticket's structured. Some airports require a visa even if you're not stepping outside. Just transferring between terminals or collecting baggage can count as entering the country. If the rules say you need a visa for that and you don't have it, there's no workaround. So how do you avoid this? Before you book anything with a layover, especially in countries with stricter immigration rules, check the visa requirements, even if you're only stopping for an hour. Look it up through the airline, your government's travel site, or the country's embassy page. Don't rely on what worked last year or what your friends said. Policies change fast, and airlines won't always flag it for you. Because this isn't just a paperwork error, it's a domino. You lose your seat, miss the connection, mess up the hotel check-in, all because of a visa you never planned for. This one catches people by surprise because it feels like something that shouldn't be a big deal. You're not flying international. No passport, no visa, no customs. Just a short hop across states to see family, catch a conference, or make a wedding. So you walk up to TSA, hand over your driver's license like always, and get stopped. The agent looks at your ID, then looks back at you. Sorry, this isn't valid for air travel. That's all it takes to end your trip before it even starts. Starting May 7, 2025, if you're 18 or older and flying within the US, your ID needs to be real ID compliant. For most states, that means a gold star in the top corner. Some show a little flag, others say enhanced. But if your license doesn't have one of those, it doesn't matter how early you got there or how cheap your ticket was, you're not getting through. A lot of people don't even realize they're missing it. You might have renewed your license years ago, before the new standards kicked in. Or maybe you've been flying with it just fine. Until now. Yes, you can still use a valid US passport instead. But let's be honest, most people aren't bringing a passport for a 45-minute flight to visit their cousin in Ohio. And even if they wanted to, most don't have one. Only about 48% of Americans actually hold a valid passport, which means more than half the country still depends on a real ID just to fly within the US. So here's the easiest fix in the entire video. Check your license. Right now. If you see the star, great. If you don't, get it updated before you book anything else. So your documents are good. Name matches, passport's clean, real ID in hand. You've cleared the first layer. But here's where things get tricky. Once you're inside the airport, it's no longer just about paperwork. It's about how you move, what you carry, and how you handle the final stretch. Because at this point, the airline, not the government, is calling the shots. And gate agents, they don't mess around. Let's start with something that seems small, until it sends your trip sideways. Your bag might not get you kicked off a flight, but your attitude about it, that just might. Carry-on rules are tighter now, size limits are strict, and if the overhead bins are full, you'll be asked to check your bag at the gate. It doesn't matter if it fit last time. It doesn't matter if you paid for it. If the agent says it's going under, that's the end of the discussion. Most people hand it over and move on. But some argue, and when that happens, airlines can and do deny boarding. Just ask the professional violinist who brought a priceless 200-year-old instrument on board. It didn't fit. She refused to check it. The airline wouldn't budge. The plane took off without her, and without the violin. So yeah, it's rare, but real. If your bag gets flagged, take a breath, hand it over, and walk on. Because missing a flight over a carry-on isn't worth the story. You planned ahead, got to the airport early, maybe even had time for a coffee before checking in. So when you finally reach the counter, you're calm, not rushed, until the agent looks up and says, "Sorry, check-in is closed." It doesn't feel real. The plane's still at the gate. Boarding hasn't even started. But in the airline's eyes, you're already too late. What most travelers don't realize is that airlines don't just care when your flight leaves. They care when you check in, and those deadlines are hard. Usually it's 30 to 60 minutes before departure, depending on the airline and the route. Once that window closes, the system locks. No override, no fast talking your way through. And in 2025, some of those cutoffs have gotten even tighter. Delta, for example, now requires passengers with checked bags to check in at least 45 minutes before a domestic flight. It used to be 30, not anymore. At big airports during busy hours, that window can stretch to 90 minutes, and nobody's shouting that from a loudspeaker. It's in the fine print, buried on a confirmation email most people never read. So what throws people off? It's not always showing up late. It's showing up just in time, and then hitting one snag. A long security line, a jammed kiosk, or a bag tag that won't print. By the time it's sorted, the cutoff's passed, and you're done. The fix? Check in online the moment it opens, usually 24 hours before your flight. If you're not checking a bag, you can skip the counter entirely. If you are, at least you've already locked in your seat. And give yourself more time than you think you need. 2 hours for domestic, more if it's a big airport or a busy time of day. Most people think the flight leaves when it says on the ticket, but for the airline, that moment passed 15 minutes earlier when the gate closed. Once it's closed, that's it, even if the plane's right there, even if it hasn't moved an inch. I've seen it happen too many times. A traveler speed walks to the gate, out of breath but relieved, only to find the screen dark, the door shut, and the jet bridge already pulled away. The plane's still loading luggage, but they're not letting anyone else on. Sometimes, they don't even wait until the 15-minute mark. If everyone's boarded early, the gate might close ahead of schedule, and no one's paging your name. Worse, gate changes. You check once when you land, grab a snack, maybe scroll through your phone, and somewhere in that window, your gate moves. You don't hear the announcement. By the time you figure it out, it's too late. I've seen it happen. One passenger showed up at the gate printed on their boarding pass, a full 20 minutes before departure, and still got told, "We moved the flight. You missed it." The airline had bumped the departure time without a clear announcement, closed the gate early, and gave away the seat. So what's the move? Once you're through security, go straight to your gate. Don't wander off. Check the screen. Confirm the gate number. Keep an ear out. The app doesn't always update, the announcements aren't always clear, and no one's coming to find you. Want coffee? Bathroom break? Sure, but act like boarding could start any second, because nothing stings like being inside the airport and still not making it on the plane. Even in 2025, airlines are still selling more seats than they actually have. It's not a glitch, it's strategy. They count on a few passengers not showing up, and when everyone does show up, someone has to give up their seat, whether they want to or not. You might think it's based on who booked last or who checked in late. Sometimes yes, but other times it's about fare class, loyalty status, or no clear reason at all. I've seen travelers with printed boarding passes, bags checked, and boarding groups called, only to be told you're not on the final manifest. Just like that, they're out. The airline will usually start by asking for volunteers. Maybe they'll offer a voucher, maybe hotel, maybe nothing too tempting. But if no one bites, they'll start bumping people, quietly, systematically, without a vote. And unless you know your rights, you might walk away thinking you were just unlucky. But here's the truth. If you're denied boarding against your will, and you get to your destination late, you're entitled to compensation. In the US, that can mean up to $1,350, depending on how long you're delayed. The catch? Most agents won't offer it unless you ask. So don't just walk away quietly. Get the details. Ask what you're owed. Next time, check in as early as possible, especially if you booked a basic fare. It might not guarantee your seat, but it helps keep your name off the maybe not flying list. You can have the perfect passport, perfect ticket, perfectly packed carry-on. But if your energy is off, you're not getting on that plane. Seriously. Gate agents don't just check documents, they read people. If your attitude throws up red flags, they're fully allowed to stop you at the door. Maybe you're annoyed, your bag got flagged, your seat got moved. You're tired, hangry, and the $45 fee for one checked bag just pushed you over the edge. You sigh. You mutter. You roll your eyes and toss a snarky comment as you hand over your pass. That's it. You're done flying today. In 2025, being technically right won't save you if you're right with attitude. Staff are trained to spot potential issues before they're in the air, including passengers who seem combative, short-tempered, or just off. It's not just about being rude. Maybe you had a drink, not slurring, not stumbling, just a little buzzed. But your voice is slower than usual. Your breath carries that telltale scent. That's all it takes. TSA and airline staff don't need proof of intoxication. Just a reason to say, not today. Even things like strong perfume, body odor, visibly soiled clothing, or looking visibly unwell can get you flagged. Not out of malice, but to avoid complaints from other passengers. Then there's boarding behavior. Try sneaking ahead of your group. Facial recognition at the gate will catch it. If the agent's in a mood, you won't just be sent back, you could be pulled off the flight entirely. So yeah, everything else could be perfect. But if you fail the human check, you're not going anywhere. Sometimes, the last thing standing between you and that window seat is you. At this point, you've done everything right. Your documents are spotless. Your bag fits like a glove. You've been polite, even early, and somehow, you're still getting stopped. Not for anything you did, but for something you never saw coming. Because behind every flight is a system. And sometimes, that system breaks in just the wrong place, at just the wrong time. No warning, no explanation. Just, you're not flying today. Sometimes what blocks you from flying has nothing to do with your luggage, your ID, or your attitude. It's the part of the trip you never see, the code behind the confirmation email, the booking system no one checks twice, the misclick that quietly erases your name from the manifest. You booked your ticket, you got the email. Everything looked solid, but when the agent types in your name at check-in, nothing. No record. No seat. Just blank stares and a line forming behind you. It happens more than you think, especially with third-party booking sites. Sometimes a payment doesn't finalize, or your name gets spelled wrong in the handoff between systems, or two separate bookings get tangled up behind the scenes and cancel each other out. And it doesn't stop at technical errors. Some travelers have been blocked just because their name resembles someone else's on a no-fly list. One woman missed her sister's wedding over that. No warning, no way to appeal on the spot. Another traveler was told by airline staff that he didn't need a transit visa for Copenhagen. He trusted them. He packed, showed up, got to the gate, and was denied boarding. They were wrong, but it didn't matter. Or take the guy flying to Nicaragua. The airline agent insisted he needed a visa. He didn't. He even showed proof. Still got shut down and had to rebook with a different carrier. So how do you protect yourself from mistakes that aren't yours? Start by double-checking everything, even when someone official tells you it's fine. Don't rely on one email or one customer rep. Check with the embassy. Search your government's travel site. And if you're booking through a third party, always confirm with the airline that they actually see your name in their system. Print things out, take screenshots, bring receipts. Because the system isn't always broken. But when it is, you're the one who pays for it. You've waited through the delay, you've stayed near the gate, you've watched that plane land, watched the crew reset, and finally boarding begins. You scan your pass, the gate beeps, then the agent stops you. You're not on this flight. No warning, no error message, no let me check something, just not flying. This actually happened on an EasyJet flight from Porto to Bristol. The flight was delayed for hours. Passengers were moved into a quiet secondary lounge. No announcements, no updates. Then suddenly staff began boarding, but only called part of the list. No names posted, no explanations given. Just a quiet wave through for some and a blank stare for the rest. Dozens were left behind with nothing but confusion and a promise to rebook later. Some were sent to another city entirely. Others got hotel vouchers. A few were told to try again in 2 days. Technically, this kind of removal is called involuntary denied boarding. It's legal in many places, but just because it's allowed doesn't make it okay. And here's what no one tells you in that moment. You might be owed more than a new flight. Depending on where you're flying, you could be entitled to compensation, sometimes hundreds of dollars. But unless you ask, chances are no one brings it up. So if you ever find yourself in that spot, calm, respectful, but suddenly off the list, don't just accept it and move on. Ask questions, push for answers, because after everything you did to make the trip happen, you deserve more than silence and a shrug. Hearing, "You're not flying today after doing everything right," that shouldn't be where the story ends. So now you know, 11 reasons your seat might disappear before you even reach the jet bridge. Some of them are in your control. Others, not so much. But either way, knowing what to look out for puts you one step ahead. If this helped you spot even one red flag, hit like. Share it with that friend who always cuts it too close. And if you want more smart travel tips, go ahead and subscribe. In today's air travel world, where rules change quietly and systems crash without warning, information isn't just useful, it's your boarding pass. See you at the gate.